Hot mic is on. We're ready for a good time.
Oh,
We're having a
yeah.
ball. Hot mic is on. If you want to have a good time, just give me a call.
That's Queen, right?
It is Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah, applause for that. What up? We did it, y'all. Another episode. It's another Sunday, so that means another episode. Hello.
Yay!
Hello. I'm your host. I'm Billy.
I'm Sheba.
And we're your hosts of Hot Mic. This is episode, 6, I believe?
5 or 6.
We're crushing it out here.
Yeah, we're doing really well.
I think so. I'm loving it.
I'm proud of us.
Yeah, me too. How you been?
Good. Really good. I got these butterfly clips, and I don't know why I haven't brought these out in adulthood yet. But this was 12-year-old Sheba's bread and butter, and even back then she knew.
Yeah.
I just always had just an innate
I love it, babe.
eye for beauty.
Yesterday you did a See Like Sheba and you had it just a little bit differently.
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna keep playing around with it. These came yesterday, and so I had my 2 little bangs I do, and I had butterfly clips on that. But this is nice too, right?
Really clever, really well done, babe. Cutie! Applause for that. Sheba actually lost one of my gauges, so I got the open air gauge on one end. On the other end, I've got the glass gauge, and we're making it happen.
I love it. We use whatever we have around here.
Sometimes it's a marker cap.
Yeah. We got to get you some more. Maybe let's get 2.
Let's get
2 sets.
like a pack.
At least, exactly.
Yeah,
at least a pack, like our rings.
Like our rings.
Yeah.
Yo, what up? We got a great episode of Hot Mic. We are going to be talking about 2 things as usual.
Yeah.
The first has to do with the N-word, nigger, the resurgence of nigger. Obviously, in black people circles, we'd say that shit. That's how we talk.
It never went away.
But in white people circles, I think there was definitely a dip, and we had a general understanding about avoiding that. And now it's back. It's back. The second topic is Ted Cruz in his recent interview with journalist, what's his name? Tucker Carlson. Supposed journalist.
Yeah.
Let's jump into the first one.
I'm going to go to Lily Gaddis and just...
Hold on.
Hold on.
Let's go back to
I'm coming.
split screen.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah!
All right.
I'm going to go to Lily Gaddis and just ask you one more time. I mean, you've been so unashamedly proud of being a racist today, proud of using the N-word whenever you feel like it. You've had a bit of time to think about this. Is that how you want people to leave this panel debate, with thinking of you as a disgusting racist?
I don't really care what people think about me. As long as you care about what people think about you, you have no power and you lose your country. What I care about is freedom of speech. And if you're not allowed to say the most offensive things in this country, you do not have freedom of speech. I don't care what anybody says. So that's the main crux of this situation. That's what I care about with this situation. It is, we have lived for far too long in a country where you can have your life destroyed. And people say, oh, she doesn't need this money. Her life's destroyed, by the way. She'll never be able to get another job. She's got children to have to support. And I don't...
We'll pause. When she says she's talking to, this came out after that woman that called that black boy a nigger after he took a toy of her child. So it was a white woman with a child. I think they were at a public place, a park, and kids do stuff. Kids are sometimes they grab things and they run around. And most parents, you laugh and you playfully see the other parent, and you oh no, give that back, and figure it out, because kids are whatever. This woman said, as far as I can tell, the video shows that somebody's like, did you call this kid a nigger? And she runs away, and apparently she did.
And she did a GoFundMe and got tens of thousands of dollars to preemptively protect herself from the backlash that came from her calling a child.
Yeah, tens of thousands of dollars. People willing to shell out cash in a down economy. They're like, look, we want to help her out. Her whatever legal fees she might have, whatever challenges she might have going forward, we want to give her a buffer of support. For what? For what exactly? For, it's not a crime, but it was a rude, impolite, racist thing to do.
White people?
She gets tens of thousands of dollars of support.
50,000 or something. White people will open their pockets to uphold the narrative that they want, to support people who they want supported. They want women who sling the N-word at people. They want them to be okay. They want to make sure they are allowed to operate in the world as they want to, as they see fit. So they're always gonna give a cushion for that.
We saw the same thing with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yes.
Kyle Rittenhouse continues to be kind of a darling on the right-wing stuff. He pops up every now and again. He's on Twitter. I won't be surprised if a book comes out, but I know he's got different projects and stuff. He's actually parlayed this whole thing. He killed a man. Kyle Rittenhouse killed a man, at least one person, am I right? Or injured
at least one.
Other people as well, because he brought a weapon
across state lines
to a protest. I think it was a BLM event of some sort, and he wanted to protect what exactly, I'm not sure. Protect property is what he says.
Which is what white people have been taught since they got to this country. Your property is more important than human life.
Yeah. Well, he kills a man, and then you just see this outpouring. Tucker Carlson called him a hero.
The adults are teaching the children.
Everyone, it shows, it was immediate. See, the way that this thing works is it's our discourse is so stupid and backwards and left and right. And so the right wing has to, the left obviously is in support of BLM. They're in support of a peaceful protest, one where people aren't being killed. And then the right wing goes and says, we have to support this guy. And they start concocting stories about self-defense, and they just create whatever they need to create, and then they supported the dude. The dude made a ton of money off this.
Yeah. And Piers Morgan is a bad guy also for platforming this woman.
Let's keep going.
Piers Morgan is a bad guy in general, but
let's see this.
I want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, black people can say things to white people all the time, and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly, and you will
well, go
not
on, then
have
say
to,
it. Say
you
the
will
M-
not have
Go on,
free
say.
speech.
Go on, say the M word. Go on.
No.
Go on.
Don't invite. No.
No.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here. You and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do, but we already know she's racist, and I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there.
Okay.
Now, one thing I do agree, of course, we don't live in a country that's free. People are able to, what am I going to say? What am I saying? I think white people want to get back to the time where they could say whatever they want, do whatever they want, and they couldn't get any sort of, it didn't affect their job, it didn't affect their social standing, it didn't affect their freedom in any way.
Yeah.
And but she is right. You can say whatever you want.
You can
say whatever you want. And I think black people, we need to, and women, we need to say more of what we want. Say your truth.
You have to say more.
Say it.
You know what's funny is what I see. First off, racism is back, yo. Racism is back.
Did it ever leave?
That old school racism.
Did it ever
Some of it left. Yeah, some of the outward stuff. You did it at home and you were quiet. The public racism, the proud, like she says, she wants a world and a country where people can say absolutely whatever they want. She also, if you go further into her beliefs, which I've seen either in this interview or other ones, she's going back again. Her vision of the ideal country is one where people say what they want. They choose their friends, their employees entirely on what they want. So that's why she's also opposed to DEI, any sort of programs of diversity in any spaces. She believes that the right to segregate is an important right for her freedom. Applause for that.
Technically, it is our First Amendment right to freedom of association, to associate with whoever we want and to say what we want. and to, you know.
That's technically true.
Yeah.
And that's why.
But yeah, it's like, okay, like, we don't have DEI and white people can say the N-word now. Everyone, what, like, you know, this is evidence that we need to stop outsourcing our freedom, our permission to white people.
Yeah.
They want us to, you know, like, play by their rules and validate them. Like, Mark, stop going on Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
Like, these gross white people want to be terrible. Go.
Piers Morgan is a big platform, and he is not great a lot of the time. And then on other things, in terms of a big platform, he actually ends up being better, unfortunately. I mean, there's just a gradation. There's Fox News, there's News Nation, there's Daily Wire, then you get like CNN, and you get there's a whole group of like bad news media here. And if you want to reach people, and you also want to get into that, whether you like it or not, people are watching those places. Like, people are getting information from those places. So it makes sense to say, I want to at least inject some sanity into those spaces when they invite me. You know what I'm saying?
No, so, that's not the point of those spaces. It's to be made sane. It is to show, like, it's to perform. It's to, you know, manufacture consent. It's to show that, like, oh yes, this white woman is a terrible racist, and we will make sure she has a platform, the biggest platform, and we will show by who we allow in the room that she is just as valid as Mark Lamont Hill. That's
one of the things I want to. Now, there's several things I want to talk about, but one of them is, since you brought it up, to platform Mark Lamont Hill, who's a very serious journalist and historian. He's a book owner, and he's into knowledge and truth, and he's a very valuable person. And to have him sitting alongside that ridiculous racist, and then Myron Gaines. So Myron is the other black guy on the panel. They put up, he had like a sign, you couldn't see what he said. I don't know what it said. Maybe it had Nigg-er on it, since they were talking about Nigg-er. He's a troll. Like, his whole career, the reason we know Myron Gaines is because he has a podcast called Fresh and Fit, and what they do is they invite young college girls, OnlyFans models, Instagram thoughts and girls, and they just make fun of them. They pay them. What?
His name is Myron?
His name is Myron.
That's got to be tough. Like, honestly, I can,
Myron
like,
Gaines.
I know nothing more about this person, but, like, that's got to be difficult. Can you imagine trying to yell out Myron in bed?
No.
That's tough. And I bet he blamed it on women. Like, bro, blame your mother. Blame whoever named you Myron.
His whole thing, he started off with making millions. He got like this little bum ass podcast that got into millions of followers and viewers because of that track. He noticed that he was succeeding. You know, people
like to see women being shamed and humbled,
particularly in this climate.
Down.
Beautiful, successful women, like a girl.
Gotta take them down a peg.
A 20-year-old who's making, you know, $500,000 by exposing by showing her body.
Yes.
A lot of men, especially this manosphere, they hate that. It's something they can't access. It's a marketplace that they can't access. It feels undue and undue. It's like this whole concept of merit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't throw a football well. You didn't hand to get an engineering degree. You know, and so they have to hate it because they've set themselves up to be in opposition to women.
Yeah, I've seen lots of men though who make a lot of money with their chest out and like relying on their body and how sexy their body is and working out and like I think a lot of men are jealous.
You've seen a lot of men do that?
Yes.
Who?
I don't know their fucking names. I didn't know this guy had Myron's name. Please, like,
I don't know.
I have man blindness.
What you're talking about with that? Like,
there are lots of gay men. There are lots of people who like to see men being sexy without their shirts on, being oiled up, being fit. Isn't that guy's name Fresh and Fit? Like, that is a very popular genre, and I think men are jealous of her ingenuity and work ethic. Like, men would never, you know, do the effort that goes into having to have a successful business where you rely on your body.
Yeah, I mean, you said that some men are doing it. So obviously some men are doing it, you said.
Yes, but you said that men do not have that available to them. They do. They just are not willing to put in the work to do it. and they're mad that they see women doing it, and they say then, oh, well, men can't do that. Yeah, you can. You're just not willing to work for it.
The market is really different, though. And like the woman, you're talking about getting fit and doing that stuff. There's women from all sizes and shapes, big girls and little girls and all kinds of stuff. And women would just, all you see is their feet.
Yes.
The male market for this sort of sexualized, sort of parasocial relationship is a very different market than. Now you're saying the gay man, that's a different thing. But there are women who aren't necessarily fit, who just, they take a camera out and they walk down the block for 5 seconds and then they walk, away from the camera.
Yes.
And they post that and you get, 300,000 likes. And that's something that men, they see that and they can't fathom. It's not available to them in the same way.
I think also men have been told that you just being is not enough. You have to be doing something, throwing a football, cooking, telling us something, doing something, and you can't just be. You can't just sit and make money off of that, which is a lie. And I think women show that like you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you guys have held yourself to a false story and are mad at women and telling yourself like, oh, men can't do it. You guys haven't really tried.
It's a problem just to be mad, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, I actually, again, I hear what you're saying. I still hold my position that there's just a different market. But it's like, even if it is, so what? Like, move on. Like, you have to find your thing. You know what I'm saying?
And, like, literally, like, men have football. Men have all of the professional sports. Men have, like, the majority of these, like, millionaire, billionaire things. Yeah. You have the fresh and fit. Women can't have, like, one thing
special lane for them
like in which we can uniquely, like, people want to pay us for the thing that we value. Sorry, I'm not as good at throwing a football. Sorry, I'm not as good at, like, I don't know, like, other dumb things that, like, men are paid millions to do, which are actually not helpful. So that's why I always be, coming from a girl. I'm like,
I don't want to stay on Myron too long in this little bump, because we talking about the other thing, but he is an absolute clown. Just one more thing about Myron, his philosophy of like pitting men against women continues. It started off with just mocking girls, but then as it continued, he started to build this group of men and followers. They talk about like marriages for simps, like. Men should just cohabit with other men because men are most productive, and so they end up gay again somehow. But like they also are like, not only that, he says that women make you weak. They got this whole philosophy that they built that women make you weak and you have to stay strong and tight and make as much. Women are an expense. They're not they're a liability and things like that.
Honestly, like, great. Yes, please stay away from us.
So you have this guy on a panel to discuss a serious topic about our social arrangement alongside a serious person like Mark Lamont Hill, and validates him, and it's just a shame. It's just absolute bullshit.
It is. It really, and like Mark has to be responsible for being like, who is on this panel? I'm sorry, this white girl trying to say the N-word, and some dude named Myron. Does he go by something other than Myron?
No, it's Myron Gaines.
That's pretty bold. I'm impressed with that. But so like he has to know, like, this is beneath me. Why would I enter that room? Why would I tell the universe, tell this audience of people who think that Piers Morgan is a legitimate journalist or news source? Why would I tell them that, like, this is the room that I fit in with?
That's important. We really do have to develop our own rooms because, unfortunately, we really set a strict standard, which is what you're talking about. You're talking about walking away from some of the biggest stages, some of the biggest microphones.
Rooms in which they're clamoring to say the N-word.
Yeah. See, but this is the whole thing, like, the whole N-word thing, like, she couches it in this First Amendment right. And she does say things that, on the face of it, are correct. And I stand behind her right to say that. Like, I'm actually someone, I don't get angry when someone says the N-word. The way I was taught on some, like, someone says the N-word, you can punch him. Someone says nigga, you can punch him. To me, first off, if they say something to me, if someone calls me a nigger, it tells me about them.
Yes.
But even further, if someone simply, the very desire, if you're a white person and you're like, well, why can't I say nigger? It tells me about you. I don't give a fuck about you. Like, you calling me or anyone, it doesn't change who I am. you haven't debased me. You've debased yourself. You're telling me about the kinds of conflicts that exist in your head that you feel like you're missing out on something.
Yeah.
So I have an example of a guy I went to high school with, and we're in this chat group with a bunch of other guys. This is a white guy who, one time he jokingly says, he's like, yo, I should get the right to say the N-word, right? I'm one of you guys. We all grew up and played football in Brooklyn. And again, he's like one of the few white guys on our football team. And he's kind of also, that's his thing. Like, he's always playing, and he's kind of a troll. But you see, like, people's weird responses. People were kind of not sure how to respond to him. Because, again, even if you talk to him, he talks black. He speaks. He has the black Brooklyn energy. He grew up in Brooklyn. He's genuine Brooklynite, And it's like, what I said to him was, the reason you won't say nigger is because everyone in here knows about the political and historical weight of that word. And when you desire to say that word, you are simply telling us about your inner experience.
I would be curious, what if he did say it? If he was just like started, addressing everyone in the group.
I'm interested to see how people would address that and deal with that.
Because that's the thing too. We do need, like, white people are too used to, like, kind of like, well, what if I do this? I dare ya, and we gotta start calling their bluffs, my loves. Like, even, like in this group, I feel so sad for this dude's wife and any women who have to be like around him or associated to him. I hope his wife finds his group chats and what he is saying and the types of things that he is contributing to our species. Because it's her responsibility to divorce him and take everything he has and then tell about it.
Yeah. This element, there's group chats, there's private group chats, and then there's a public thing. And that's what that Mark Lamont Hill conversation is about. It's about this, like, desire to
take the private group chats public. And
they're like, to be my fullest expression.
Literally.
So there's something about that, like,
literally, they're like, why would I?
Right.
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, I think she is pointing to, like, this is how white people are behind closed doors. Why should, like, they're not, them hiding it, pretending, is not actually keeping us safe. It's actually just letting white people feel like good people. And so, like, let them be themselves. Let them be who they are.
This is the interesting thin line, because at the end of the day, the prohibition on the N-word is about an inner acceptance. This white person, the white people, it's a choice. Like, I'm opposed to some sort of penalties, fines, or arresting, or even killing people or punching people for saying a word. I think that that's wrong.
Yes.
I think that what is right is that people accept the fullness of things. And from love, I avoid saying a Jewish slur. I avoid saying a white slur. I avoid calling women bitches and sluts. I avoid calling, things. I avoid insulting my fellow man, black, white, or otherwise. It's a choice. And this desire to, and see what I'm saying is, like, in this moment with our media and the social media and, like, all these people operating, trying to get clicks and be seen, that clown ass girl, that woman on who's making the case, her point is to just be famous, and she's loving it. She's loving this viral moment that Mark Lamont, when he screams out like that, and she I don't know what she's up to now, but I'm certain her goal is to simply keep rising her stock, to keep being more visible in a certain demographic of people that she can spin into more profit for herself. And so this other woman says the N-word, this other woman says nigger to a child.
Also
and she jumps in, gets personally enriched, and she jumps in to contribute to that energy rather than to contribute, like, love and truth to the thing. So
if you don't have love and truth to contribute, how are you going to contribute? If all you have is
love and, oh my God.
You can't contribute what you don't have.
Shots fired. If you don't have love, what's the other one?
You don't have love and truth.
And truth. You don't have love or truth to contribute. All you have is your gripes and your desire to get clicks and to be seen and and to attach yourself to
Truly
demographics.
And the worst people in the world too.
Worst
like,
people
ew,
in the world.
like you want to like of course it's easy to like get into rooms with terrible people by having terrible views and being willing to be terrible to people. But then you're in a room with a bunch of terrible people.
And this is something I want to point to because I grew up thinking that so much of the racial invective and violence towards black people in America had to do with an irrational hatred of skin color.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was that.
No.
I think we were taught a bit of a distraction. I think we were taught a narrative that kind of felt like that's one narrative where, yeah, that's actually a way of looking at it. It is irrational if it's about skin color. But what it is about separation.
Yeah.
And then from that, it's profit seeking and attention garnering and following crowds.
Yeah.
And I think that that's more important and more to the point. And if you don't talk about profit seeking and following crowds and also being an incomplete person who doesn't have love or truth at the center of them, right? Who doesn't know how to love themselves. And so they're just trying to be seen.
Yeah.
So the best example of this to me in the media space right now is Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is the most successful media darling who successfully became a national figure where people started to say that he's really smart. His whole thing is that he's smart. So every time he says something, everyone wants to hear what Ben Shapiro has to fucking say.
Which that should tell us that like literally it's just a cognitive, thing, trick. Like it's like the familiarity bias. He speaks a lot.
Yeah.
And so we hear him a lot. And so even if like the substance of what he says is not smart, we just perceive it well. We like it's more familiar to us, so we like think it's smart.
It's all
just
of it,
like
though.
they think Jordan Peterson or Joe Rogan,
Yes.
or Donald Trump. Even lots of people like or Elon Musk. These are not smart people, but we have not been taught to like actually value smart people. Piers Morgan is not a smart person. But Myron is probably not a smart person. Nor is that like white woman. And so I think it's the responsibility of smart people to not throw your pearls to swine, to not put yourself in a room with dumb people, because then the dumb people think they're smart because they're like, look, this smart person's in the room with me. And also like in connection to that, like, if white people are more encouraged to be themselves, which, good or bad, like if they're saying the N-word, whatnot, great. Who are you? Are they invited to the cookout still? Are you friends? Are you inviting someone to the cookout who stays friends with someone like that? Who uses the power of their voice and their speech just to do what their like dumbass grandpa would have done?
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. It's 2025. She's right. It's 2025. We're moving our species forward. Yeah. And they're trying to keep us back. Yeah. Please. Disinvited. Banished.
If she's going to be her fullest expression,
canceled.
We have to be our fullest expression.
Yeah.
I think too much of as a black person, my upbringing was very much about being employable.
Yeah.
And the white gaze and being
palatable.
And being able to have a big network, right? A network of people who are potential employers, this and that, rather than standing on anything.
Being consumable. Your job is to be useful to white people, to be something that white people will pay for, to be something that white people want to consume.
Will validate. Yeah. And that's what she's doing. She knows exactly her audience. She's going right to them, and she's giving them all the buttons and showing, this is how we do it. We don't give a fuck. We don't. Yeah. We say whatever we want. And this is an American right to be offensive and all of this stuff. But watch again. She's going to be offensive in just this particular kind of way. She's not
offensive to a Zionist.
She's not interested in offending other groups that again will benefit her network
white
and
men.
Things like this. Her understanding of, and it's the same thing that motivates Ben Shapiro. Same thing that motivates. Samuel Cartwright, that motivated him back in the 1850s.
All white men.
There is a demographic of people that is an underclass, that is not the employer class.
Yes.
That they can attack and they can abuse and they can dismiss. Meanwhile, they're currying favor with the other group, and this is something to watch, and I think it's just disgusting. I think also we're just watching this wave of back to open racism, back to it.
Yeah.
They back.
I think to put it neutrally, it's it's a wave where everyone realizes that everything's made up and you can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. You know, like, oh, someone thinks I'm mean or a racist does not preclude me from being who I am.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, like I kind of interrupted you because I was like, that woman's canceled in the middle of what you were saying. You said it, but I want you to say it again for the clip. If she is like brave enough to like speak her mind, we have to be.
You gotta be.
Yeah.
You gotta be. We don't realize that. And that's just like cats don't realize like our whole psyche, our identity, our sense of what is safe is constructed, and it's constructed from the years of like stories that we were told by our parents and our experiences as children.
Yes.
And now we have these adults. We're watching, and we keep pearl clutching. Oh my God! I can't believe they're trying to. They're doing a genocide over here. Oh, they're trying to say the N-word again. Oh, they're removing all of the guardrails and the civil rights
that they put up.
Those were constructions of the prior generation that were intended to address something. And it's interesting that so many white people got on board with it and saw it as a positive thing. And, you know, we were raised in a very particular window, y'all.
Yes.
It was not raised in what is. We were raised in a very particular window, and that's all deteriorating. Yes. These people are trying their best to express as freely as they can, and we have to too. And what's sick is you see that these same people will try their best to undermine our ability to speak and be as free as we can. And non-binary people and women, so, right? She wants it for her very specific white racist kind of freedom.
Yeah, and like what she's saying is that she understands that she can speak poorly about Black people, and that Black people don't have the power to do anything to her.
That's right.
And what we as Black people, when we take the money, when we accept the invitation from white people, when we make ourselves consumable, when we go, oh gosh, white people are so mean, oh gosh, be mean back. Be meaner to white people. This is a different time period. We are not in the victim status that our parents were, that our grandparents were. We can whistle at a white woman and nothing will happen to us. So you can do a lot more to them too. Yeah. And white people are understanding that they can say whatever they want and no harm will come to them.
They'll raise a ton of money off it.
They will, absolutely. And Black people, you need to start thinking of it that way. And we need to start thinking of ourselves that way. What are we going to do when we see Black people being mistreated? By Black people, by white people, it doesn't matter. Like, are we going to part with our money? Or have we told ourselves, are we still attached to the myth that we can't say nothing to white people? We can't say nothing. Like, well, that's just the way it is. It's not. White people want you to think it is. So why would you continue to think the way white people want you to think it is?
People really got to test their voices.
Test
your voice. Your voice is more powerful than you know. We've been taught a bunch of stuff about our voice, about safety.
Yes. Think about, you're doing it for your ancestors. You are speaking the words your ancestors did not feel safe enough to speak. So one of the reasons that I am so able to speak is because I know I'm safe. I know I am the source of the safety. So I don't have, like, my safety is not contingent on whether or not I'm speaking to a white man, whether or not I'm speaking to a man. It comes from me. It comes from the divine. So, like, why would I be afraid of fucking white people, a man? That's also, you know, like, this kind of maybe will take us into our next thing, but like, you know, I think a lot of people, Black people are, you know, we're raised in this Christian church or in this Abrahamic, you know, religion, and I feel like, isn't it like, it's all about like, if God be with me, who dare be against me? No weapons formed against me will prosper. You're not supposed to put like anyone above God, like, but we have replaced God with like the white man and
money. So
we will not go against money. We will not go against, you know, a man or a white man, whoever we've like put in this position of authority, who has the money and the safety, and they disperse it to us at their mercy. Like, that's not what's going on.
Cats
babe.
have bought into that. That's not what's going on.
Cats have bought into that. It's wild. Yeah.
It's wild. Cats have bought into that. It's not what's going on. Cats have bought into that. Cats have bought into that. It's wild. Cats have bought into that. It's wild.
It's not what's going on.
Yeah. Before we jump into the next joint, I have two quick things. I wonder if we have the time for
yes,
it.
Yes, we do.
The still on this N-word topic, or the nigger topic.
Yeah.
I want to talk about what she said about black usage, how black people use the word. And I want to say that just like they do, we have the right to use any word, and to use that word and to appropriate it and to make it our own and to do whatever the fuck we want.
To change the meaning of it.
And yet, I still have an issue with this. I do think that we didn't appropriate and change the meaning. We didn't properly do that.
Yeah.
We appropriated and we use it, and many of us, particularly I think black men, we still identify with something that is rooted in the same sort of original white definition.
Yeah.
The opposite of them, right? While white people are ordered and on time and specific and intelligent and industrious, that the word nigger was one that was applied to black people, and it meant violent, it meant lazy, it meant not uncouth and unclean and unintelligent and all of these things. And I don't think that cats have entirely jettisoned that. I think that sometimes when we call ourselves niggas, sometimes we call them my nigga, man, we mean it from love and we truly mean it in a fraternal way. And then oftentimes, when we say that word nigga, we do mean all of those niggas. He's a nigga. He's a nigga. Well, fine, I'm a nigga then. Fine, if you call I'm a nigga then. And then what that means is I'm angry and I'm gonna be rambunctious and I'm gonna be doing this thing and I'm not gonna be, you know what I'm saying? Like, Let's be clear about what we're doing. And so for me, like, at the end of the day, I make music, I make hip hop, and it's a space where cats use that word quite a lot. I use it occasionally, usually to make an emphasis, to make a point, you know what I'm saying? But I am not, I do think that we are not careful enough with these words. That we, I also say this other phrase in our black community of, chasing the bag or I feel some type of way. I feel like we have phrases that aren't serving us. We have ways of speaking that are loose and flippant and creative and black and beautiful and interesting. And I'm talking about, there's a whole vernacular that is beautiful that I'm not referring to, but I'm talking specifically about the phrases I just mentioned that I have a particular problem with, that I think that an attention to linguistics, an attention and a love and a care to use our words with value and to uplift ourselves. The fact that motherfuckers refer to women as bitches, the women they love as bitches, and think that that's been appropriated into something loving. I don't think it has. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that.
I think let's focus on just the N-word first before we get into the other words.
All right, cool.
Let's focus on that one because I think that's an easy. Yeah. We can all agree on that. Yeah. You said like when you say it with your boys, you mean it with like love and fraternity. I don't think black men know enough about love and fraternity to be able to use the N-word with love and fraternity.
It's what you said earlier about love and truth, right?
Yeah, if you don't know love and truth, you're not going to be able to imbue that in your relationships with others, in your relationship with yourself.
Because we do, and I don't, I speak as a black, can't speak to whatever, like, we do. I'm 42 years old now, so I don't know what the young people are doing, but I grew up on something where black masculine fraternity had a very specific look, and it didn't, certain forms of love and expressions of support weren't allowed. Expressions of feeling and love and affection.
Yes.
These are all feminine things, and it would be quickly beaten out of cats,
Even now, every time, like when you guys are even sort of close to being intimate, being loving with each other. It's, oh, no homo. I don't want you to think I actually love you. No, gross. Ew. And I was like, oh gosh. But also, even, you had told me a story about one of Billy's friends was in one of these black fraternities in college. And he had to, after one of the hazing rituals, you had to like tell him to go to the hospital because he was severely
Beat the
injured,
hell out of
bleeding,
Cruz, and he's
beaten the
bleeding.
hell out of.
Yeah.
That's what we've been taught. That's what white people have taught black men fraternity is. You beat each other.
God,
you beat each
damn,
other, and then
Shima.
you don't tell anyone about what goes on, and you keep it in, and it's for love. It's because they love you, and they brand you, and I'm like, guys, are you sure? Are you sure this isn't what, like, white men, they don't want you guys to think that love means like, oh, gross, and like, ha ha ha. And like, you make fun of each other, and you, every time the person tries to be soft with you, you make sure he doesn't get too soft. With you, ew. And like that, you know, fraternity means you're beating each other, and like, even the point of fraternity is to kind of be in competition with other groups of brothers. And I'm like, so, in back
Playful
to like, you know,
competition, yeah.
trying to say the N-word, like, we're not doing it. We're not doing that. We're not appropriating it. We haven't developed the power in ourselves. We haven't developed the power of our voice yet to be able, the power of our discernment. We don't truly believe in our power yet. That's why we say it so flippantly.
We haven't appropriated it and turned it into what I think some people pretend it to be. Again, even in the rap songs, like most of the time when cats talk about nigga, occasionally it'll be my nigga, my dude, my nigga, but most of the time, I kill a nigga. I slap a nigga, cut this nigga, cut a nigga throat,
And
never cut a white man, never cut a this and that. Like, pick, when you think of nigga, you say, oh, well, it could be a white nigga. No, you know, like, the rappers, the people in the room,
it's a white nigga then.
all visualize another dark-skinned or black man who's being, receiving that energy. We know that.
And trust me, y'all are not able to, your brain is not able to differentiate between like when your friend is doing it and when the rapper is doing it. Like, you hear it way more about like being murdered, and you know it's a bad thing. You know it's a bad thing. You know it's a thing that white people mean. They mean to do harm when they use it. They're not using it in a good way. And consider that neither are you.
And so there's so many other ways to refer to each other. You know, there's just a million ways to refer to each other that truly would explore our own engagement with ourselves and explore our engagement with each other. It would be a deeper place.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, applause for that. Yo, this is 42 minutes, and we're going to move on to our next topic. The next topic is Ted Cruz easily confused by symbols. What an unfortunate thing. Ted Cruz.
Rafael Cruz.
Here we go.
Changed his name, by the way.
Hold on, I got a split screen. Here we go. All right.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. So you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it, and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two...
Well, hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what... Hold on. Define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
So is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes. Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible. Those...
Yo.
White men are the dumbest motherfuckers on the entire planet.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, so first of all, because I know there's actually probably a lot of dumb people watching too.
Oh, let me go back to full screen. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, Israel in the Bible refers to Jacob, who then changed his name to Israel, like they did in the Bible all the time. There's like a Saul who changed his name to something, a Simon Peter, something to something. Jacob changed his name to Israel, and his 12 children, 12 sons, were the 12 tribes of Israel. The descendants of Jacob is Israel, not now the modern state that was created in 1948 by Christian states who did not want their Jews.
Can you believe this? Can you believe that
it's
you
not
have
the
to,
same thing?
You
right?
have to break that down.
And I wonder, like, okay, so I'm named after the Queen of Sheba.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that like I am the same Queen of Sheba? I'm like that reincarnation? Because if you do, I love that. But like, you know, like
I think you are.
I think we should go to Ethiopia and find the nicest house whatever house we want, and be like, your queen's back.
Queen Sheba's
Where
here.
are my servants?
Perfect.
Queen Sheba's here. Hello.
And I have my wise man. Maybe people are like, oh yeah, it's the same person from the. And so also like, okay, so we live in a theocracy. We live in a theocracy, guys.
He's an
and
idiot.
I think we all have to like accept that. Christians especially. Like we like to tell ourselves as Americans, we have this like, oh, we're a democracy and our stuff is so based in the logic of humans. And it is. And that's why we are a theocracy. Run by some of the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet.
Dumbest people.
Meanest, terriblest people who also the ancient biblical state of Israel is the one that colluded with the invading Roman Empire to kill Jesus. So actually, if he's a Christian, he should be more concerned with the part of the Bible that discusses Christ, and they say nothing about Israel's estate, but for that Jesus was really against it. He was like, what are you guys doing? You're not supposed to be mixing these things.
I love that you get into the biblical stuff. I could do a bit of that, but I'd rather not to.
Better than freaking Tucker Carlson.
You absolutely did.
A good like response to it is like, oh, where you don't even know where in the Bible it says that? That's not the thing. The Bible is not a political document. The Bible is not a legal document. It is a storybook made by a bunch of dudes who then edited it and edited it over and translated it and imbued it with whatever they wanted. So to see these dumbass white men, Rafael Cruz, making up like a biblical mandate, a divine mandate, God is about to tear some people up.
What the hell? So stupid. What a useful idiot. How grateful is Netanyahu, right? That as he continues his campaign, his racist, Jewish supremacist campaign, arming settlers in the West Bank, starting wars in Syria and Iran, all with the vision of a greater Israel, which has been openly talked about by his ministry, Smotrich and Ben Gvir and himself. The guy who made it impossible, who said openly years ago that the goal was to prevent a two-state solution, to prevent peace in Gaza with the Palestinians, to fund Hamas as a goal of always, because Hamas has an international recognition as a terrorist organization, he could keep going. He could keep going to be, these wars prevent peace. They prevent the possibility of static borders and peace between nations. And Ted Cruz, a U.S. senator, and I imagine hundreds of other people, potentially in Congress, have a similar goofy lack of awareness in their brains. That's just in Congress. Yeah. Thousands of people in America, perhaps hundreds of thousands. What do you think? Have in the back of their minds this understanding. I remember early on in the beginning of this genocide, I was seeing so many Christians saying stuff like this, like support Israel, support Israel. The Bible commands us, and things like this. And I remember I had a period when I went a little crazy. I typically would avoid some of these touchy issues, but I remember I had to post on Facebook, bold, very front, like, Israel is not the Israel in the Bible. The Israelis are not the chosen people, because that was another thing I would see. Support the chosen people. It's like, and these would be Christians who had such an absurd sense in there. Now, I'm glad Ted Cruz exposed this on such a big stage so that we could have the conversations, so we could see how goofy this thinking is and how dangerous it is.
It is really good that these white people are being so racist so publicly now, and cavalierly. It does.
That's what it does. This is why you can't do this is why, like, any sort of attempt to stifle free speech. By the way, the Israelis are the ones trying to stifle free speech.
Come on.
Arresting people. Have you noticed that? The ones using words like anti-Semitism to make people stop having cogent and honest conversations in journalism. Anything to prevent full and honest conversation warps our ability to see.
Yeah.
And so, great, Ted Cruz, thanks for showing us this.
Literally, exactly. Like, okay, now I know this is an idiot person who is not smart and who is absolutely going to hell. Yeah, it's just such a mess. Also, I know they use the Bible, biblical mandate when they want to, do the most horrific shit and things. They hate, though, when you bring up the curse of the 8th decade, the curse of the 80th year.
I know less about this. Tell me quick about this.
Yeah, so no, Jewish state, Israel has lasted longer than 80 years. And so they're terrified of that. And it's so all of the stuff they're seeing, they're trying to double down so hard on God promised it to us. God promised it. That's another thing. The Bible is a book made by men. God speaks in lots of different ways. God doesn't have to rely on a written book.
That's right.
Men do. And so many Christians, Black Christians, Americans, have this, you are worshiping the word of men. God speaks to you all the time. So if you're still telling yourself that, God chose the Jewish people, the state of Israel, and you're linking it back to the Bible, God has changed their mind. I think the Bible is full of stories of God bestowing his blessings upon a people, those people letting it go to their head and abusing the blessing, and God then coming back with mighty retribution. So,
how confusing, how unfortunate to be caught up in symbols. It's the same, and this is all intentional, by the way. The Netanyahu in particular knows that Ted Cruz is a confused idiot. And so everything, these symbols, to hide also this political campaign, this Zionist political campaign for stealing, expropriating land, gets hidden behind
to hide
the Star of David, gets hidden behind religious symbols.
Hiding colonialism behind religion.
It's unfortunate. It's one of the most dastardly things anyone could do.
Dastardly. That's a good ass word. It is a dastardly.
When you look at the last 2 years,
conniving plan.
Burning children alive at safe spaces. I mean, look, I have a degree in ethics and international relations. I'm actually an advanced and an aware person on the question, an authority on the question of international relations. And when people talk about international law and they're they're hiding behind human shields and all this bullshit, you have no clue what you're talking about. What you actually have is hospitals. There's a lot of very clear language about the protection of hospital infrastructure and civilians and of safe spaces. And what they did was churches and they very early on, they tested this boundary and saw that no one was willing to step up. They saw that the American media was willing to lie on their behalf. And so they just kept going. And so everyone has a lot of shame and blood on their hands, frankly, over this.
Truly, the other,
And to do it all behind religious symbols on the idea that God wants this.
And, Americans, we have to understand we've internalized this Judeo-Christian supremacy. So the reason they're able to routinely bomb hospitals, since, at least 2014, routinely blow up churches, blow up airports, blow up schools, shoot children in the head with snipers, routinely. They call it mowing the lawn. Right now when, Palestinians are trying to get flour that is being illegally, withheld and destroyed.
Booby trapping food.
They are... there's a video. They're just sitting there machine gunning these people. It's Squid Game, and
hungry, starving people.
The reason
and God
most
wants
people
this?
Are exactly. Say that again.
Idiot. God wants this,
and many Americans were quiet about it. We might do the obligatory. Oh, it's so terrible, but because they're Arabs, because they're
That's
Muslims,
the other thing.
you don't care about them. You don't see them as human. You see their death as, oh, well, yeah, they were terrorists though, right? And the, Jewish people, they do hate the Jews, and like, you guys are like so racist.
So
you don't see
deeply.
how much you've been indoctrinated
Correct.
by, the US empire, by the West, to see like some people as human, deserving of not just protection, but they're allowed to do whatever they want. They are absolved of all responsibility. Anything they do is good and just and right.
It's absolutely
And
absurd.
anything anyone tries to do to stop them from doing that, that's the bad thing.
Well, I think more and more people are seeing it and being able to pull away. But the real hardliners are going to be people like Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
And it's not just because he's stupid and confused by symbols. That's
Yes.
one of the reasons. That's
Yes.
a big one.
Yeah.
Because he said his
Very
first
dumb.
reason for supporting Israel is the Bible. That's what he said.
He also
so if that's
said-
his first reason out of maybe 3-4 reasons. That's a stupid reason. Go
And
ahead.
earlier in the interview, he was like, he became a senator to protect Israel's
To protect
interests.
Israel. Yeah. It's because he's a shrewd political person who understands that our political system is corrupt, and he's here to navigate the political system. And that's the second part of it, right?
Yeah.
So apart
Yeah.
from him being dumb, the other thing is that it's easy.
Yes.
This infrastructure, this Judeo-Christian mythology,
Yeah.
this sort of the mythology around the most moral army, around Israel, the greatest ally, the mythology that allows AIPAC to not be a registered
Foreign state.
Lobbying
Yeah.
group. That's easy. It's already there. He's not trying to upset the apple cart on behalf of truth. He's not
Yes.
aiming to advance humanism and to push against bullshit.
No.
He's here. What's going on? Oh, Israel. And so it's easy. The biblical references is just another. It's just another grease on the slide for him that he can just feign ignorance that it's all good, all nonsense.
His aim is to keep going what has been done since 1945. They've been making up this lie. They link it to the Bible. They kill people who question the narrative, and they start to give you a lot of propaganda against the people they're trying to steal the land from.
For sure, man. You think about all these movies and all this stuff, these video games. Think about how deeply we've been taught about the crazy, irrational, religious extremist Arab who just wants to kill people for God. And you don't realize that on the Israeli side, you have exactly this thing.
Worse.
So what do you
not even exactly. That's another thing too. We keep trying to Israel's bad, but also Iran. So Arabs, I learned that Iranians, they're considered Persians, so they don't consider themselves Arabs. And thus we will not consider them that. But, for dumb Americans who have been taught that anyone kind of brown, turban-y,
Turban-y.
deserty, Arab, and obviously terrorist, religious extremist, hates women are unsafe. That's another thing. I saw Van Jones, a lot of, black men who have been put into high spaces because they are willing to Ted Cruz and all, they're willing to, regurgitate the Hasbara that they're paid to. And so even this idea, we're supposed to, Iran is a bad guy. They're not normal. They are terrible to women. They do all these things, and it's just so
And of
racist.
course, on such a stupid panel, 2 years into a genocide, such a goofy panel of people, no one says, "Oh, is Israel a normal country?"
How has Israel treated women?
The country that's
290 women or children are raped. Can I say raped?
great.
Raped in Israel every day. Every day.
290 every day.
Every day. Daily.
I know my wife is a hardcore lawyer and
Yes.
researcher.
Exactly. That's
we'll
why
definitely also check on that.
when I see people trying to justify the existence of Israel, the state of Israel with Jewish safety, I see them trying to lure Jewish people, particularly Jewish women, to the place that they are statistically overwhelmingly most likely to be raped. But that one prisoner of war with the big lips, with the fake lips.
Yeah.
She was raped when she went back to Israel.
And if you remember, on October 7th, the idea was images and videos of her with a bloody pants, and it was all this. People were tweeting that she was raped on that day by Hamas, and then the whole time while she was in captivity, they
were like, "We're not going to touch you."
She's being raped. She's likely being raped. Who knows what those monsters are raped? I keep saying.
Yeah.
Who knows what those monsters are doing? And then what happens was, after being released, apparently, she was raped by her personal trainer.
By a celebrity personal trainer in Israel.
In Israel. So it's just. And this is all for God, by the way. This is God's. This is that place that Ted Cruz, because of his idiotic reading of the Bible, he glosses over all of this and many more things we could say.
That's kind of how you can tell it's about colonization. Like, colonizers are obsessed with sexual violence and domination. They have to exterminate the people there, and that's one of the ways they do it. Super disgusting.
Israeli Knesset. If you remember, guys, Abu Ghraib. The big scandal in the United States because a couple of American soldiers had detainees from their so-called war on terror, and they were sort of torturing them, taking pictures of them naked, things like this.
Mm-hmm.
The Knesset in Israel had a vote and a discussion and a rich debate about the right to grape prisoners, where some members of the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, argued in favor. They said the soldiers need to get some steam off. They got, they have the right to grape prisoners. That's an entirely different. When they say that Israel is like this westernized, modern civilization versus the crazy Arabs, this is, again, it's all contortionist lies and manipulation of narrative. And But here's what I'm saying. Not only is Ted Cruz dumb about the religious stuff, but it's also AIPAC gives him like $2 million, has raised over $2 million for his different campaigns. And so he's not here to stand up for truth. He's here to be an AIPAC shill because that's what's there. And he's one of the most brazen. He's willing to say almost anything for it.
Yes, literally.
Even to look dumb in an interview with Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the last thing, I know you're looking for something. The last thing I'll say is about the BB observation. This is the BB observation. Go to my website to see an article about the BB observation. The BB observation is when you observe the distance between what a thing actually is and the popular words that we use to describe it. The popular narratives and categories that we use, that distance between those words and the actual thing. And so when this guy, his connection to the word Israel, and the image he has of it, whether it's biblical or this beautiful haven of, this oasis in the Middle East, versus what it is doing, what the government has been doing, what the people are doing. That's a completely two different things. And
literally,
I see this everywhere all the time, and I want us to use this lens more often to notice the difference, sometimes subtle, sometimes great, between the words we use, the categories and labels we have, and the thing itself.
Yeah. The Zionists and the West really use that distance. They do a lot of damage within that, and they leave it up to our imagination that they have captured with Hollywood and all these things. Exactly. They've given us all of these things, so they know that in that distance, they just have to say what did Van Jones say? It's not a normal country. Okay, we automatically know it's not like us, not like our country. That's how the Israelis they harped so much on oh my gosh, they killed people just trying to enjoy music at a music festival. We can relate to being at a music festival. We struggle to relate to people who are in a concentration camp. Truly, we don't see them as us, and so we believe the people who are holding them in the concentration camp. We believe them, and so we're like, oh, okay, they're terrorists. It's not okay. They're there because they hate you. Okay, no, what doesn't make any sense.
But it's tough when every news anchor and all the other talking clowns from Washington D.C. come with their suits, and all these white men speak with a very confident and that tone of the authority figure, and they all agree.
It's like they really know what's going on. You guys don't really understand. It's like so paternalistic and like ridiculous that we're still in 2025 looking to white men, to men at all, but like particularly white men, to come to peaceful solutions, to come to solutions that are rooted in love, that are rooted in truth.
This is it again. They're not rooted. They don't have truth.
They're not.
Or love to bring to the table. In fact, Elon Musk, a lot of these guys worship Elon Musk because he achieved what people think is the world's greatest achievement, to be the world's richest man. He's Iron Man, and he blah, 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 all this stuff. He's taking us to Mars. He's such a genius, right? He said openly he had an attack on empathy. He thinks empathy is a fool's effort, is a fool's approach to the world, that we need less empathy. He calls it toxic empathy, manipulating more language, putting toxic in front of a word like empathy. So this is the framework that Elon brings, that Trump agrees with too. He's a big tough guy. All these guys, Hegseth and these other people, they're all performing this no empathy, like their identity's straight. Logic. Let me
just
explain
numbers.
This and that.
Like that is
world's greatest ally and all this bullshit.
That is literally what the human traffickers did. That's literally.
And so we're lost.
Literally.
We're lost.
And we're lost because we continue to tell ourselves that we have to be led by the rich, by the white men, by the white people. We have to, like, whatever they want to do, however they want to frame things, however they want to talk about stuff, we have to kind of take that and, like, they are not the leaders. Like, we have to lead ourselves, and that starts by, like, taking radical, like, responsibility. We are not the victims of white people. We are not at their mercy, and we're lucky to get into their rooms. No, we are not. They are crazy people. They are idiots, and step in your power.
The assumption that there's something smart from over there. The initial assumption. If I step into a room, dressed as I do, speaking the way that I do, I would have to work through people's assumptions. They don't know my resume. They don't know who I am and what I do. I would have to work through these assumptions about my lack of awareness, while these guys with the suit and these other guys with their little religious declarations and things that they're wearing, that they get it. Ted Cruz, yeah, he's a senator. So this actually, Dad, you just said something. What did you just say?
Something about us stepping into our power.
Oh, yes. I'll let you have the last word, but this swings back to sort of the N-word for me a bit. Great. Stepping into our power, the N-word, and I was thinking about even Juneteenth, which is a holiday that I celebrate, which we just passed, and commemorates the end of slavery. There's something about the commemoration of this moment where the state ended slavery versus a commemoration of the understanding that Black people were always free.
Yes.
That Black people and humans were always free, and that condition that was placed upon us was an immoral one and an illegal one. And
an illusory one.
An illusory one.
Our freedom is not contingent on whether or not white people agree.
It's not contingent on their agreement or they're signing off on the thing.
Oh, it's in writing now.
Kind of does this. You see how, like, we frame our best sort of moments of, like, liberation are framed around the white people and the state bequeathing it.
Which is so wild. It's like literally like white people did this immoral, horrific, terrible thing and continued to knowingly do it until they were stopped at gunpoint. And like, so yeah, it's just like seeing...
You talking about the Civil War?
No. Like, weren't they already free? Juneteenth commemorates like they didn't tell people in Texas until 2.5 years later. Mm-hmm. That's not how long it took information to travel. They must have intentionally, the white people must have gotten together and been like, until I see it in writing, until they make me, I'm like, those slaves belong to me.
And there's the other thing, like, and again, this is my last thing with the N-word again, she loves to claim that this is all about free speech. There are other people who I saw that they, in terms of freedom of association, they're like, oh, just because of, water fountains, because we had separate water fountains, now you've put all these laws and restrictions on my ability. they don't properly talk about. They tell themselves a lie, a mythology about what the entire apparatus was that allowed slavery and then Jim Crow to thrive, where it was okay to snatch up children and hang them for imaginary crimes, that the media was involved, that the police were involved, that quite the large swath of society turned away. They agreed with the logic. It made sense. The same men who were writing articles about the need to go kill this group of black people over there who were being industrious, they would then go and teach at the school, or they would then go...
They would have children who they would bequeath their values into.
They would run for mayor and win. They were all, considered decent and smart, and there was just an agreement about this stuff. So it's deep. And so this desire to want to go back to that and to put all that under the rug in pursuit of your free speech is a sickness. And it makes me sick. And I'm sick with these losers. And they're not just driven by the things they claim to be driven by. They're selfish trolls and idiots who want to be made famous. And fuck it. Let them do it. Let them do it. But we know who they are, and we are standing in our own thing. And fuck them. We make our world.
We do.
In our terms.
Exactly. Like, white people have been, like, they haven't ever been, we say, like, oh, you could, like, punch someone for saying the N-word. I don't know anyone who's done that. I'm sure it, like, happened, like, on a small scale, but, like, white people in power say the N-word. They have. They do it. Like, they... these children of the, Jerry Jones, like, these are people who had segregation, had the idea of black people as separate for the majority of their lives, for, like, their formative years. And so, like, they always felt that way. It just became more couth, more polite to pretend, and you have some of the clean black people, you put them in suits and they dress and act correctly and don't make too much noise, then they can come and, like, it didn't ever leave. And so, like, that's why now white people are like, oh, we can't even, now you guys like say mean things to us, or like you try to make us feel bad about saying these things. No, I don't even deserve to feel bad about it.
The younger
like,
dudes, they're just not attached.
You can't even feel bad. And so
okay.
that shows that, like, white people have just never been.
I don't need them to feel bad. Fuck a feel bad. Like, I'm simply, like, they're so rotting on the inside that they can't acknowledge that there is a historical truth and a hurt, and that there's something that we're navigating here together.
White people have to grapple with the trauma and horrors of colonization and racism and slavery, and what that has done to them and their soul, how it has fractured them. And
beyond it, like, the racism comes as a consequence of the deeper sort of lack of a moral foundation, this sort of capitalist sort of hyper individualism, and the need to exploit differences. So that's the thing they don't want to address. Like, we're still dealing with that root exploitation of the distinctions between us as humans. And so I don't need you to feel bad. But if you can acknowledge the history properly, then we can treat each other properly in humans. We can actually create markets that respect our humanness, that don't exploit our humanness. They don't want any of that. They don't want to begin any conversation that would undercut their right to not just say nigger, but to make money from the difference between, to exploit the black underclass.
Yeah. And I just want to add, like, I think, like, we keep saying, like, I don't want you to feel bad. Actually, I do. You guys have been running from your feelings. That's why we're here. That's why, you're not going to be able to be accountable until you sit with your feelings. Your feelings, your difficult ones, your feelings of sadness, of confusion, of shame. You are going to have to sit with that. And until you do that, if you keep running from that and try to be like, no, I don't feel bad, I'm this, it's only going to continue to hurt you. It's like, and as everyone else continues to come into their power,
it's going to look weird. You're going to be left alone. You're going to be worse. You're going to be angry.
And you're going to be...
You haven't comported with reality. You're detached from what is.
Humans have the capacity to hold the sadness, the negative feelings. We're not just supposed to numb and run from and deny those feelings. They are there to help us evolve, to help keep us safe, to help keep us healthy. And suppressing these feelings is actually the opposite of free speech. It's the opposite of this, like, you know, these values they claim to stand on. Like,
it's a bunch of claims.
I feel bad, I feel sad, I feel confused, I feel afraid.
Yeah, no, they value the opposite. They don't feel those things. They're purely logical, and they have answers for everything. They have many more answers than they have questions.
Exactly.
They know things. They know things.
That's the false thing. Like, they, you know, like, humans are emotional beings that have the ability to logic. And so they are, like, working outside of themselves. You know, machines are only capable of logic. That's not humans. So, like, the idea that, like, oh, it's smart and right and healthy to act like something you're not. Like, operating purely from logic is irrational. Operating purely from logic is unnatural. And operating purely from logic is gonna fuck these hoes up.
That's right, yo.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like being free is like, it's not logical. The feeling of
what?
free is not logical. Lots of things
True freedom.
here.
Actually being free.
Yes.
See, actually being free has it pertains to, you have to set boundaries to be free. You have to actually define free. You know, her goal of being free to say racial epithets, that's so cheap. Like, it's so unimpressive. You know what I mean? Like,
And it's like she's always been free to say that. And what she really wants is to be free of anyone harming her for saying that.
the racial epithet.
Or making her feel uncomfortable. But, like, I can't make anyone feel anything.
You know, it's just again, I think it really roots back to her just trying to be seen and shit.
Yeah.
Congrats, because she got on TV to
Which
do
is, you know, like, a lot of us have been taught that, like, you know, when we're seen, when we're included, that means we're loved. We'll trade belonging, you know, for love. Like, we're told, like, that's the closest we can get. Like, belonging in a group is the closest thing we're gonna get to love. But, like, no, like, if we have to, like, we just have to, like, develop our capacity to love.
You gotta grow, actually.
Yeah.
It's not God to
Yes.
discard reality.
It's actually sacrilegious to
discard the humane.
Yes, to keep us so small, and, you know, how we were must be the totality of who we are, and any other exploration is, you know, useless. And, like, no, that's not true, and it's sacrilegious. So, yeah.
All of our self-definitions can be improved because they're all a bit off. Again, the BB observation. All of our labels and categories are sensitive. They are political manifestations and then reactions to previous political manifestations. And we develop all this vernacular as we point to things and we identify and we group up and we blah, blah, blah. And you can see that it's so goofy that it fractures eventually. We see this with MAGA fracturing over war, fracturing over other things. How do you define yourself for real? Not as a person who's trying to be curry favor with a group. What groups? The groups that you were handed down to, that you received as a child. You're an adult now.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
And so that woman who wants to say nigger, she hasn't proven herself to be an adult. I don't know her, but her preoccupation tells me she wants to be famous. She doesn't want to be an adult. She doesn't want to be in partnership with us on this planet together as one. So fuck her. And you know, we're moving on. We're gonna do our thing, and that's what we're doing. We're doing here in the hot mic, and we're gonna applause on that. And unless you got anything else,
my mind. Okay, like, I think this whole thing, life, is all like a cycle of oneness and fracturing. Oneness and fracturing.
That's it.
And so, like you said, like, it's a natural, like, the fracturing is natural, right? So maybe the pulling back to oneness is also natural.
Yes.
So we're taught to, like, fear this kind of time where, like, oh, the white people are starting to fracture and they're starting to, like, that's okay. That must mean that us all coming back to oneness must be coming.
Yes.
As long as we do what we're supposed to do, which is, like, not fear the fracturing.
Don't fear it.
Understand that it's maybe like natural. Like we have to fracture in order to come back.
Alchemize it, reconfigure
Exactly.
it. Now
Yeah.
we set our
Create something new.
definitions. And she might go off and she might find fortune and fame in this little group of racists, and they all agree, and that's fine. And we let them go. That's what you're saying. Like Piers Morgan shouldn't have her on. We over here, or maybe that's Piers Morgan's angle. We're over here having a different experience altogether where we accept and we love, and it's back to oneness. But yes, we will fracture too. It's all what it is. It's part of the experience.
Yes.
But we, love is a concept, like
Yeah.
all of them are.
Yeah.
Love is the concept that unifies.
Yeah. And we've been so taught to fear the fracturing that we don't get to the love. We try to bypass the uncomfortable feelings that come during the fracturing by being like, no, we can't fracture.
Yeah.
We can't fracture. It's the fracturing that's the problem. Like, nope.
Nothing's the problem in
Exactly.
a weird way.
Exactly.
It's all part,
That's what it is.
which is tough to say in all this fucking inhumanity, but
But
it's
like,
also true.
yeah, like, this inhumanity must be also part of our humanity.
It is. It shows us
Yeah.
ourselves, and
Yeah.
for those who are willing to sit in truth, not everyone's willing to sit in truth. Not everyone is willing to sit in truth.
But I think because we've been taught to fear what
Who you
comes
are.
with that. And like, I think it's, we've been taught to fear the things that are going to set us free. So sitting in truth must be one of those things. Harnessing language must be one of those things.
Creating from our own intuition.
Yes.
Building community. Also fracturing.
I think fracturing must also
whatever
be one
it
of those
all
things.
is.
Yeah.
It's the same. Well, building community is a fracturing from something,
Exactly.
It always is. And so some of these white people think that they're ahead of the game. They're like, look, we have to, this is what it is. And they think that they're pointing to like an absolute truth. White people like white people. Black people like black people. And you might agree with that. Yeah, black people like black people. But it's all not true. And when you start to like congeal and like make concrete these ideas, particularly on the basis of something so silly as like skin pigmentation, you create a whole bunch of bullshit. And like we're generations into all of that. We are still responding, fracturing and building from the material of the previous sets of generations.
Yeah.
And it's held us back. We have a great, brilliant flourishing of what is possible.
Yeah.
That will require like us, this generation, to start anew.
Yes.
Without the burdensome stupidities.
It's tough because the Democrats keep co-opting revolutionary thoughts so that like and taking
That's their
all of
job.
the teeth out of it. But like
That's their job.
like they have all of these supercuts of Kamala Harris regurgitating the like focusing on what could be unburdened by what has been.
Yeah.
That actually is what we should be doing. And like I think they're of course trying to be like, this is what that looks like. Doing the same thing over and over again. Like, girl, what? No. We are going to be holding ourselves accountable, but we are not holding ourselves back by who we've been.
Not at all. And we do that, and we do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
And we have the power. And we do it for love. And that's the thing that's missing in so many these people we try to talk about today.
Keep truth and love in the center. Love and truth in the center. That's a Billy the Process lyric. But like it's so true. You gotta keep love and truth at the center of things.
Yes.
And everything else will work.
What we're gonna do is I'm gonna let us out, and I'll actually play that track that Sheba mentioned on the way out. All right, y'all. Peace.
So brilliant.
Here it is. This is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
See you later.
Love you.
Hot mic. Hot mic. Hot mic. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah!
Oh, yeah. At least we not tripping, yo. Check it out. Peace.
Yeah. What if we all not crazy? Seen a dead body on 8th Street. A lot of zombies out lately. It don't faze me. It's real life, not a daydream. Give praise be. Balance can face swing all in the same week. Process it all, go deep. fake news just can't leak. Clowns talk a whole lot, but don't say peep. Prices going up and shit ain't cheap. My homie stuck, laid on rent. It's been 8 weeks. Phone ringing, they can't sleep. Life lessons you can't teach. I live it all up close in HD. Seen the other side, the 10 ain't green. I'm mega, guard the health packs like 10 HP. I cut against the grain and wear it out like penne sleeves. I drip with the stuff, got plenty G's. Cool as a fan, 10 ACs. Let off, the pen ain't clean. Y'all just woke in my NABs. Yeah. You not crazy, this shit going down. We not tripping, this shit going down. Process. I'm not the type to be toe tipping. Legendary like 94 Pippin. These kids lost like Maury clinics. I'm coach different. Who run the flow Senate? Who flow go infinite? Lyrical penicillin. I crush and depose cynics. Balanced, I'm soul centered. Vibe with my co-conspirit. Thriving, I won't settle. Riding, we go levels. Run with a crew with some living legends. I know several. Double my weight. These bags fitted with rose gold petals. I'm gripping life. No hard rock or a gem type. I've been nice. Move purpose driven. Praying for insight. Yeah. The uppercut Kim Slice hit before you could think twice. I write these lyrics then put the pen to your windpipe. Catching a red eye. Move confident like a Jedi. You pretend like you was cool with the magical when I flip the words in a spinner. Place love and truth at the center. The ego thin, it's a cold winter. What if the click was loaded up? Heal all the soldiers we hold in trust. Let's go discuss how they got us thinking it won't be us. They affirming murder, curses and such. My cup bursts, flowing like every verse is enough. How we live in the earth home and we truly blessed. I'm about that action like movie sets. Choose the steps, but my task already duly set. How you gonna react to connect? Depend on whatever the shoes you accept. For real.